feeling this here.
Yeah, son, you feel it, man. What up, son? You gotta just do it, yo. Yo, what up, man? It's a different channel, son. What up? On, man. What up? Watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
What up? All good, baby, in every hood, son. What up? Yo, CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas is grown men. Bold face, gat in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime late. Cast more beef than Scarface.
Call is now being recorded.
Network, Channel 10. It's on again.
Yo. Yo. What it do, man?
Nothing much, man. Just chilling. What's going on with you?
Man, I'm just maintaining up here. Channel 10 podcast. We're up to what, episode 5 now.
Yeah.
Keeping it consistent, keeping it going on. Once again, everybody check out channel10podcast.com. Channel 10 podcast on SoundCloud, on Tumblr, on everything that you can think of in the world. We're on Stitcher. Follow us on iTunes. Check us out on Twitter. We got Channel 10 Pod, not the cast on the end on that, and you can check us out on Instagram, Channel 10 Podcast. We're on there as well, and probably some more things. If we're not on there, we'll be on there soon, so look out for us.
Yep.
So, I guess to kick this off, man, how you been? How's your week?
I've had a week of ups and downs, dealing with sadness and whatnot, but I think I ended the week on a high note, especially with a situation I had, very brief situation yesterday. So I'm trying to be studious or whatever, and I'm walking to the library in the afternoon, and I'm walking across the street, and this girl is on a bicycle, and she's going past me, and she's looking at me real hard, and I'm like in my head, I'm like, why is it looking at me? So I keep going across the street, and then I see her out the corner of my eye, and she's like yelling at me. So I turn and I take my headphones out. I'm bumping some Rock Marciano, and she's like, Frank, and I'm looking like, huh? So she says, oh, I thought you were like a friend that I knew, and I'm like, oh, okay. I hear we all look alike. And then she just looks at me, and I'm still standing there, so she can kind of like tell that it's like a joke, and then she starts busting out laughing. But I still think that maybe she was like, oh, yeah, he is right. These niggas really do look alike around here, or something like that. I don't know.
So she was white?
Yeah, she was white as can be.
Oh, man.
But it was perfect. What about you?
What's up? You set up for your peoples. Me, I'm just good. I've been chilling, maintaining, trying to hold everything together. I guess my funny story for the week is earlier today. I'm with my girl, and we go to take the kids and everything and go get some snowballs. So we go to a snowball stand, and while we're waiting, there's these other two girls, and they're kind of like standing on the stairs behind my girl, and one of them says, that's fake. And the other girl says, yeah, girl. Talking about my girl's ass.
Oh, man. And
I didn't even peep it, but, my girl, she said that she peeped it, and she was like, she started just popping for them in their face. She was like, nah, she gonna chill because, they weren't being disrespectful or anything about it. They were just having conversation amongst each other. And,
right.
They were just, saying what they thought. So, she, chilled on them real quick. And I just thought that was interesting. Like, wow. And she was like, one of them, she was a little on the like heavy, sloppy kind of side, and she didn't really have much going on back there, you know, for all her troubles in that area. And the other one, she was, you know, kind of skinny. And she didn't have much going on there back there either. So, you know, it might have been like a little bit of hate and contempt. And, you know, my girl, she's biracial, as you'll find out in in an upcoming episode. Well, she'll be a guest, but and she's biracial, and so she was like, you know, maybe they thought that she was white or something like that, and they was just hating. So I was like, that's very interesting, you know. But she is definitely endowed in that area.
Well, God bless you.
But yeah, man. Besides that, you know, we went to the Walters Art Museum, took a look at all the Egyptian artifacts and artifacts from other cultures and everything, and you know, it's been nice. You know, can't really complain.
That's what's good, man. I have yet to get around to the museums here in that area, but I would like to do it soon.
Yeah, hopefully they do they have any good ones that you know of?
Well, I know they have there's an art museum here and it has like a whole bunch of Native American art that I think would be really cool to look at. And they have a museum of natural history, which is like gargantuan. Yeah, so I'm kind of like saving them at the same time. So like if I'm like really bored and I don't want to do any type of work, I'll just maybe one day just get up and just go there one day, spend half a day there or something. Yeah,
that's a good plan.
Yeah.
I think museums are definitely an underused resource in our communities, and it's underused by our communities as well. So, you know, I definitely recommend everybody go check out a museum. Hopefully there's some free ones in your area, or if not free, some cheap ones. Because we went to the Walters, and it's free. And, you know, I donated my last dollar I had in my pocket, you know, to support the cause.
That's what's up. Hopefully, with that money, they'll do something better with that with the Egyptian exhibit.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And my girl pointed out, you know, it's like they try to set a mood for every exhibit, but it's interesting how like you walk into the Egyptian exhibit and it's all dark and scary, and, you know, little kids getting scared and stuff like that. And you walk through, you go to the next room, and then you're in the Roman exhibit, and it's just light and angelic looking, and everything is so bright. And it's like, you know, a lot of black people gotta have a dark, ominous type of exhibit, and white people don't.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Have you been to the Met?
I probably have when I was very young. My father used to take me to like all the different museums, so I'm not exactly sure which ones I've been to. I just know I went to the Cloisters. That's the only one I remember the name of, but I haven't been there anytime recently.
Okay, because you know, they're like I think they have like the if not the largest, I know like one like the largest collections of like, you know, Egyptian artifacts in the world or something like that. And they have like a lot of, you know, Greco-Roman artifacts too, and they kind of dwarf what they have Egyptian-wise, I think, to me. But even there, you know, like the setup for like the Greek and Roman period is like really intricate, and it looks really nice compared to the Egyptian one. And, you know, with the Egyptian one, even there, you know, you have certain areas where you have to go with, like, through this dark cave, like you're Indiana Jones or some type of crazy shit. But it's not like that with the Roman, with like the Greco-Roman part. You know, it's really dark, it's really light. You know, you think Jesus is going to hit you on the shoulder real quick or something like that.
That's exactly how it was. And, you know, not to get too deep into it, but, you know, then we went to the Islamic part. You know, they had a section that said Islamic Islamic art. So you go in there and it's nothing Islamic. It's all this Christian art. And when you go in there, it's light as well. And not only that, but if you listen really closely, you can hear this faint music in the background that's not in any of the other exhibits. Like this, like this really faint, angelic type of music. And you know, my girl, she was like, "Do you hear that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I hear that." So that was kind of interesting. And then they have like all these creepy like crucifixes, like these gigantic, just bloody looking crucifixes of just Jesus on the cross, and just all these pictures of all the ways they tortured him and had him walking with the cross and all that other type of stuff. And I was like, this is really creepy, you know, compared to the Egyptian part, but the Egyptian part is the part that they want to light and, you know, in the dark lighting and, you know, have everything looking scary and all that.
Yeah, you know, I never noticed the you kind of jogged my memory because now I vaguely remember hearing like the faint music, in the Islamic music exhibit. Because I think at this point I've been to the Walters maybe like 6 times. But overall, you know, I like it. I think possibly my favorite part is probably the medieval section, like how they have like the medieval style stairway and stuff like that. You gotta go through these weird twists and turns to get to the knight's area and see like his armor and stuff like that.
Oh man, yeah, we didn't get to that part, but we're definitely gonna go back. But it reminds me, you know, listening to I know we've had our conversations about the Almond Rock Squad podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
But one of the things that the guy says is basically, you know, you have all these free resources and stuff like that. Like, you know, especially like if you're in the Baltimore area, you know, the Walters Art Gallery is free. And it's like, if you want to get a glimpse into, you know, your history as like, you know, someone of the African diaspora, you know, just go there and take a look at the Egyptian section because, you know, Egypt or, you know, ancient Kemet, is kind of like the confluence of all the African cultures because, you know, culture travels downstream and, you know, that's at the bottom of the Nile. So you have everything from sub-Saharan Africa and then all the tributaries that went into the Nile and, you know, all the people who sailed across Lake Megachad to get there. And so you basically have like a mixture of all the different African cultures that already pre-existed all combining right there at that one place. So, you know, definitely check that out. And then you get to see the Roman side of it as well, where you can kind of see the influence in some of the art, like that the Romans had. It's just that with the Romans, everything just looks like a big, gigantic orgy. Top of it.
Yeah. But yeah, man. I don't know, man. You know, it's just, you know, it's weird, you know, I guess like the days and times that we're in right now, and, you know, there isn't a lot of money going into the humanities right now. And, you know, I know that me personally, I've been kind of suffering, from it. And, you know, it's not a cool thing. So hopefully, and I'm pretty sure it will soon change eventually. Once they realize that, you know, technology will kill us eventually. if they keep investing too much into it.
I mean, yeah, that's a whole nother topic, but
yeah.
What you just said, it kind of reminds me of Elon Musk talking about and like other futurists talking about the possibility of artificial intelligence basically becoming smart and like robots basically, you know, taking over the human race as an actual possibility, and companies are actually taking heed to that.
Oh well.
Yeah, but like I said, that's a whole nother thing. But I guess keeping with the technology conversation, we were talking about earlier, I guess just to get into this topic, about the different ways in which we listen to music, you know. and like different formats and how they evolve. And on Walnut they were talking about this a little bit, but after I heard them talk about it, it just made me pay attention more and just remember more. And I realized, I'm listening to music right now primarily on these cheap $5 headphones from Five Below, and it's getting kind of frustrating because I know I can't hear everything the way it's supposed to be heard. And if I'm making a beat or something on there, and then I take it to the car, it really illustrates how what I'm hearing isn't right. And I'm like, man, it didn't used to be like this.
Yeah.
And I remember you talking about, how you like to listen to tapes and how you used to love the tape hiss. And, me personally, I used to hate it, but now I'm having more of an appreciation for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, man, like I realized, like eventually, like, kind of over the years, like, like even like, like I guess the variance when it comes like to like different headphones, even if they are expensive but not, and like the different things that you can hear, and when it comes to certain songs, and since I listen to like a lot of I guess indie rock, some of the stuff is like it's mixed down in a weird way, and everything is like really just big and loud to a certain extent, so you can't really get like the full effect sometimes, even on certain headphones. So like now what I do, although since I'm a pedestrian, I got to make sure I have backup headphones all the time. But now what I do, let's say, because I have like right now I have these Philips dynamic bass headphones or whatever they're called, and I tend like to put those in for like kind of like I guess rockish music and reggae for the bass, because for some reason with these headphones I can hear different things when I listen to rock music in them, especially like that weird indie shit.
Yeah.
And then I have like these other like I think these are some other type of headphones, and I kind of use that for hip hop because it just kind of like melds in with like I guess how the drums are mixed down and stuff like that. And it just sounds a bit better. So I tend to like switch around every so often. And I remember when you were telling me like a while back when I was in New York for like a little over a month, and you were telling me like the culture there and like how it kind of reflects how music reflects the culture that is made in. So how you were telling me how like the way East Coast music is kind of made for you to listen to on like I guess the headphones that cover your ear.
Right.
While in the South, you got that like the way it's made for like cars and like big booming systems that go down the street so niggas can hear you.
Yeah, and like it took me a while to get used to that because when you're listening to it in headphones, most headphones they don't have one of the difficulties in making headphones is how to get a good bass response, because when you actually listen to bass in the headphones, like let's say you have a bass tone, not to get too technical with it, but like let's say you have a bass tone that's at like let's say 80 or like 100 kilohertz or whatever, or 80 hertz. The driver in your headphones isn't big enough to be able to reproduce that sound. So what you're actually hearing are the harmonics of that bass. So you're hearing a higher frequency that might be contained in the bass, but you're not actually hearing the bass. So, like, the type of headphones and the type of way they engineer it, they try to engineer it so that you can get as close to actually hearing that frequency as possible, even though you might not get to it. So, but like when you're listening to like New York hip hop from the 90s or whatever, the kick drum, it's not that deep booming bass, and it kind of has like a lot of high to it when you think about it, and that's so it'll crack in them headphones. But if you listen to that in the car, that's gonna hurt your ears. So you need that, that deep 808 sub, like how Big Crit always says, my sub.
Yeah.
That's going to vibrate the car. You can listen to it as loud as you want, and it's not going to damage your ears. And, the actual sound and the engineering of the music is really reflective of the culture that you're in. And now it's like, like today, I'm in the car with my girl and she's playing some songs off of YouTube through the auxiliary, and I can really hear how this isn't how it's supposed to be heard. Like, you know, when you listen to a song on YouTube, it's being compressed into a lower quality format so that it's smaller to fit on your hard drive and it uploads quicker and all of that. But, you know, for them to compress that MP3 or MP4 file to be able to do those things, you sacrifice frequency and sound, you sacrifice bit rate, and then once you sacrifice bit rate, you sacrifice stereo separation. So once you don't have the stereo separation, you have all kind of issues in the sound, like, you know, something that might be on the left speaker sounds more like it's in the center, and then because of that, you might get some phase issues where things start to cancel out, and so, you know, you're just hearing like a garbled mess, and then it might be too compressed to where you can't hear the high and the lows in terms of volume as you want to, and it just, I don't know, it just kind of made me sad because, you know, we're not supposed to be listening to music like this.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying, but you know, I guess when it comes down to it, you know, there's a small percentage of people who I guess are considered audiophiles, and so I'm sure they don't even care.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. At least to me, and maybe, you know, maybe this is just me just, you know, thinking about it too much, but I feel like sometimes the difference is so drastic that a lay person can understand and appreciate the difference and will gravitate towards a higher quality sound up to a certain point, you know?
Well, I see what you're saying, but it's like, you know, when I think of, like, you know, this battle between audiophiles and I guess people who don't really care that much, I guess like your average consumer, is the fact that, you know, that's like think about like mixtapes and, you know,
right.
Gucci Mane's reign was pretty much fed off of these mixtapes that had horrible quality, but people bumped them like, you know, like Dr. Dre mixed it down. And, you know, it really kind of killed me because, I mean, you know, as me and you have talked, you know, over the years, I think Zaytoven is like a really slept-on producer, and he's one of my favorite Southern producers. And, you know, just hearing certain things that he did with certain beats, they would sound way, way better if, you know, it was mixed down properly, but maybe, I guess it just goes to that whole thing about instant gratification. You know, in the culture that in the climate that we are musically nowadays, and then I think also maybe the biggest reflection of this can possibly be these fucking Dre headphones. To a certain extent, that's supposed to make everything sound better, even though it's not really doing. I mean, it's doing it, but then it's really not doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think because the Dre headphones, I mean, I think the selling point of the Dre headphones, of course, it's the sound, but at a certain point, it's the fashion and the exclusivity and all of that type of stuff of it. And, you know, when you think about it, the headphone is the last part of the signal chain, you know? So it's like, if you put shit in it, you're going to get shit out of it. So, like, if you're listening to, like a low quality, you know, 128, you know, whatever MP3 versus like a 320 MP3, you know, the difference is going to be, you know, versus a WAV file or AAC file, you know, the difference is going to be really, you know, really big, and you're probably going to hear it more. Like, I think like in a Dre headphone, a more high quality headphone, things that sound like shit or even going to sound shittier. But, like, I guess it comes down to, you know, what are you listening to music for? Because, you know, we bumped the hell out of some Max B mixtapes, and those sounded awful.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, but sometimes, though, I can't listen to the second Coke Wave.
Oh, yeah.
especially Lord trying to tell me, because I can't understand what he's saying. I just know he's saying that the Lord's trying to tell him something.
And you don't even know what he's trying to tell him. And like, it sounds like whatever he's trying to say, the Lord is trying to tell him, is so pertinent that he had to make a song about it, but you can't even hear it. So it's like, he could really be giving us a new scripture, but you can't hear it because the quality is so bad.
Yeah, man. And I think the only like actual line other than like the chorus, he says, "I just be torn with that cockroach," and I have no idea what cockroach is.
Oh man, and maybe, and there's a small possibility that's not even what he said.
Oh yeah, that too. But it sounds like something Max B would say, though.
Yeah.
But like now, since I've gotten like even deeper into reggae, and getting reggae, from various sources that will remain unnamed, and although I'm very appreciative of the people who rip these things from vinyl or from cassette or wherever they do it from. They don't really do it right. And I know that the vinyl is old, probably 20, 30, 40 years old, so that has something to do with it too. But, a lot of stuff that I get, it's like 120K.
Oh man.
Bitrate wise. And, remember, that really small B Scratch Perry documentary when they showed him like on the mixing board, like recording people, and he was mixing down.
Yeah.
The reggae song. Yeah. And, like the importance in reggae, like they don't give a fuck about anything else, not the vocals, not the guitar licks where they put the reverb on. They just care about the bass and drums. And it kills me when I have something that's 128K and I can't really hear the bass the way it's supposed to be. And then, you gotta have, and with that you gotta have like those hard hitting drums because it really, makes the bass even sound better in a song completely, because even if you get if you get something like, let's say if you get like a Michael Prophet CD or something like that, the vocals may be kind of fucked up, especially the vocals and the guitars, because like even if you have like a properly mixed down reggae beat based by I guess classic reggae standards, when it comes to mixing down, the guitars and the vocals are always going to kind of be out of line because they don't focus on them. They just focus on the drum and the bass. And so when you have that kind of fucking with you, and it's kind of like it's not really leveled out right. You just have something that's 128K and all this shit is muddled. It just sounds like a piece of shit. And so now I'm thinking about, like going back and trying to find like CDs. Cause, a lot of these things you can't get on CD now because I just can't take it.
Yeah, and like now that you're talking about all that, it makes me think like that can be the thing that makes somebody dislike an entire genre of music. And the example that I have for this is go-go music. And it's like, when they play go-go music on the radio, on the DC stations or whatever, it sounds terrible. Like, it's all live performances that aren't mic'd up properly and they're just recorded just awful, and then they put them on the radio and then they have to do edits on them, so they're, doing the regular reverse edits, and it just sounds really bad. And if you don't know how it's supposed to sound, or if you've never experienced it live, it's just going to sound like a bunch of shit to you. But, I've had people who, said that they hate go-go music. Of course, people from Baltimore hate go-go music. But then, like, when you actually take them to a go-go spot in D.C. and they experience it live, they're like, oh, okay, this is actually dope. So, I don't know, I guess maybe the degradation in sound quality is bringing more attention back to the live performances aspect of music. I don't know, but, not everybody has access to that, so downs are very important when it comes to certain types of music.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, you know, it kind of reminds me, like, of the Ghostface interview from One Up, and he, like, kind of goes, like, on a rant, since, you know, at that time, he came out with the Woo Block album with Chic.
Oh, yeah.
And he was saying, you know, it really didn't mix that shit down right, and that shit doesn't bump like the way, you know, Chic shit does or whatever like that.
Yeah. But the thing is about that is, like, when he was saying that, I was questioning the sound engineer, because there's things that you can do to even it out or level it out, you know? Like, you can EQ them joints or compress them a certain type of way so that they'll be more equal next to each other. So I don't know if it's laziness or lack of knowledge or what, but, you know, I mean, you know, those early Wu-Tang joints, they did, I don't know, it's because, like, at the same time, there's a balance to it, too, because, you know, sometimes if it doesn't sound that good, it adds to the aesthetic of the record. So, like, when you listen to a Wu-Tang record, especially like 36 Chambers, it sounds that way, and it fits with everything, so it puts you back in that zone.
Yeah, but if I recall properly, I believe even RZA kind of oversaw, like, the engineer, like, the mastering of it, too. I think. Which I'm sure, you know, I'm sure it was, I can only imagine how interesting that was, but I know it wasn't Bob Power. I think he didn't mix down I think Bob Power mixed down Wu-Tang Forever, I think. But then, I mean, I guess...
And, like, Wu-Tang Forever, that just sounds like we got some money now.
I mean, it does, but then it still sounded kind of like Reunited. The vocal, like, pretty much, like, the vocals weren't really mixed down properly on any of those songs for the most part to me.
But the beats sound a lot more polished.
Oh, yeah, they do.
And then going to the W, it sounded like they tried to make it sound more grimier on purpose.
Yeah, but then it really didn't work out that way.
I liked it. I mean, I was listening to the W the other day. I guess going back to how you like to listen to music, you know, I ordered something on Amazon, and I got tricked into a month-long trial of Amazon Prime again. So I was like, you know, let me try out Amazon Prime Music. And I went back and listened to things. I was like, you know, comparing Amazon Prime Music to, you know, Spotify. And, you know, sound quality-wise, of course, it's the same, but the selection is definitely a lot more lacking. And it made me think about going to Tidal and trying that out, the, you know, Jay-Z service or whatever. And, you know, they both having, you know, CD quality music for premium subscribers. So, you know, I wonder what difference that's going to make, you know, in the grand scheme of things. I think there's a movement to educate the general population on actual sound quality and stuff like that, but I don't know how that's going to work.
I don't know either, man. Like, see, I still have, like, because, you know, right, I have Amazon Prime, but I don't use Amazon Prime like the video thing, nor am I really interested in using the streaming service. Especially the streaming service, because, you know, we've had a conversation about how I feel about streaming, and it's just, I don't know, certain things are becoming too much for me, although I use Google Play pretty much like all the time, but it's still like, you know, it's based on the music that I upload to it. Yeah. And it's something about I don't want to give away me not being able to say, yeah, I own the music that I listen to.
Yeah, I feel you. I don't know. It's like, I think after numerous hard drive crashes, I'm just like, I said, I don't own this anyway because this hard drive is going to crash eventually. And for me to back it up and maintain the whole collection, you know, that's something for a project when I'm a little bit older.
Well, knock on wood, I'm still maintaining mine. I think I'm close to like 20,000, 30,000 songs at this point. And, you know, it's I mean, it's a job, you know, file management is a bitch. I still gotta really, work that out. I've been working on it for like 3-4 years at this point, but, I don't know, man. I mean, and see, I think that's another reason why I really want to get back to cassette so I can say, yeah, I do own it, but I don't really want to have that clutter around.
Yeah, it has to be, I don't know, there has to be a better way. I think, yeah, I guess the best way for right now, I guess, would just be to record the cassettes, you know, directly into the computer at the highest possible quality, and then burn it to a DVD or something. I mean, you know, they say, you know, the way that you really, you know, are supposed to keep your music, or, you know, just your files in general is to, you know, burn it to a DVD and keep it in an airtight safe. I actually have 2 of them, 2 copies, and keep them in airtight safes. And then, you know, to really get deep into it, you have these airtight safes in 2 different parts of the world, or 2 different parts of the country, you know, that have different climates and things like that. So, like, if an earthquake or a disaster hits one place, it still exists in another.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But see, this is what I was thinking about doing. Like, I was thinking about, because, well, since I'm here, you know, I'm trying to, like, find ways to kind of, like, decorate my living space. Cause like right now, like on my shelf, you know, I have books and stuff. I have like a built-in like bookshelf. And matter of fact, did I ever see pictures of my place?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I'll do that. You know, so right now I just kind of have like you know, pipes like laying around. I don't even have all my fucking pipes here. But now I'm thinking about like, you know, what's like the one thing I can do so like when people come over, other than whiskey and other libation, like what else can I say that really represents me? And I'm like, well, cassettes, you know, they're still pretty cheap, and you know, just maybe have a certain cassette, you know, just kind of like you know, like standing up. It can kind of like represent like what I'm about to a certain extent. So I'm thinking about getting like different ones, you know, like and also like I'm thinking that certain ones that are cheap, I can see them rising in price after a while. Certain cassettes start to like break, and people realize that they only make like 500 copies of a certain cassette left and stuff like that. So yeah, but actually right now also there's this one indie rock / electronic group that I'm kind of into called Part Time, and they have this one album that only came out they only came out on vinyl, and they only pressed up I think like 1,000 copies, but no one really knows who they really are. And they're still like available, so I want to buy one. But the issue is though, you know, I don't have anywhere like to play it on. But I do see they have like these USB things, and like it's like some type of weird mechanism where you put like the vinyl inside of like this little compartment or something like that, and it doesn't have a base though. But the vinyl, it holds onto the vinyl and just it spins the vinyl around and plays it. And just uploads it to your computer or something like that. Yeah, I think I've heard of that, like a USB record player type of thing. Yeah, and that's what I made. Like I know, like on Amazon, it goes for like $40 right now. So I'm thinking about getting that, but I just don't want the clutter. But I'm afraid that if I don't get this LP, I may not be able to get this album. I mean, and I'm pretty sure they'll probably end up coming out with it sooner or later on like CD or like putting it on digitally, but I want it now.
Yeah. and I never know, it might be a collector's item in the future.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, I mean, it's like $20, pretty much $15.99, so it's not like a lot of money, but I don't know. You know, like the issues people go through with their music, man, I tell you.
Yeah, because then, you know, with everything that you're saying, even with that, there's still the sacrificing of sound quality going from analog to digital.
Okay, well, this is what I meant to. Listen, another point too, like getting like let's say like a little Walkman cassette thing, getting like little auxiliary cord and just hooking it up to my Bose speaker,
Mm.
And I know I'm sacrificing, you know, like the real tape quality, but I think I still get that. I still get a certain amount of tape hits though, to a certain extent. But
I mean,
would it be deeper though, like the sound? Do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be deeper and warmer, just because, you know, with tape or with anything analog, you have more room. So, like, you know, they were going past the red, and instead of it distorting, it gives it like a warmer sound to it. So, yeah, I definitely think that you'll get like a better sound out of it, a deeper, more rich sound. Only thing, you know, I got so scared of playing tapes is because, you know, they started popping on me. So, like, I've been meaning to get, like, a good, high-quality tape player and, you know, keeping it clean. Like, once I realized I had to, you know, clean off my tape heads with alcohol and Q-tips and all that, you know, my tapes started to not pop as much. So that was a good thing. So, I don't know, like, I'm in the process of thinking about the things that I'm going to need studio-wise, and, you know, just studio-wise and home music setup-wise, and also portable studio-wise. And one of them is definitely going to be, like, one of those good old-school tape decks. So, yeah, and keeping that joint clean and making sure that joint is going to stay bumping. But, like, one thing I never knew is that, you know, a tape has a lifespan of 20 years or so. And, you know, that whole thing they were talking about on that one up about how you have to cook it.
Yeah.
And, like, so now I'm just like, damn, like, I'm not, you know, I have tapes that are probably over a decade old. And, you know, are they going to need cooking?
Well, I think the main thing is, are you willing to cook them?
I mean, if that's the only option that I have, then, you know, that's what I'm going to have to do. But I don't know. I think I have Nas's I Am on tape, and I think I still have the tape booklet with it, and I have Big L's Flamboyant single on tape.
Do you still have Sticky Fingers, or did that pop?
That was a bootleg that I made. I didn't have the original of that.
Okay.
Actually, I might have taped over it at some point in my high school years. I think that was one of those joints where somebody had the CD, and I put two boom boxes next to each other and wrapped them in blankets and played one real loud and then hit record on the other.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I should be real serious about mine. Like, you know, these kids these days, you know, I just sound like, you know, old man wisdom. But, you know, they have it real easy with this downloading and stuff. You know, for me to get an album that I didn't want to pay for because I didn't have the money, I had to borrow it from somebody. I had to put two boom boxes to, you know, in front of each other, play one really loud, wrap it in blankets so that my mother wouldn't yell at me, and just hit record on the other one.
Yeah.
So that's how I do music. And, you know, I'm just remembering, I don't know if you remember Real Audio Files.
Mhm.
And, like, how terrible they sounded.
Yeah, I think they're still around, aren't they?
I don't know, because, you know, the whole purpose of them, I guess, was to download music when you had a 56K internet connection. So, like, a lot of my music coming up was on Real Audio Files, and they sounded so bad. And I used to have to get the special program to convert them to MP3.
No,
burn them to a CD or something.
Now when you downloaded Marshall Mathers, wasn't there a Real Audio File?
You talking about the Marshall Mathers LP?
What's that?
You talking about the Marshall Mathers LP?
Yeah.
That I bought, actually. I bought that for like $20-something at Barnes & Noble. And I remember just like, man, this is expensive, but I have to have it. But
No, before that, no, because I'm telling you, like, it was one point you downloaded it.
Oh, man, maybe I did. I probably had, like, most of the tracks, because, like, back then, you remember, sometimes you didn't know all the tracks that were on the album, but you would just download everything and just hope that you had the whole thing.
Yeah, because, like, because I remember one time, it was around time, staying and everything like that, and like I think we talked over the phone like the day before I was supposed to come over there and spend the weekend, and you were like, yeah, I'm downloading the album right now, or I'm start like tonight. It's some shit you said, and I came and you said, yeah, I got 5 songs right now, and then you were updating me periodically about when you find out all the songs, and then when you finally got the CD, you realized you were missing like four songs on it or something like that.
Yeah, man, that's how it used to be. Like, I used to have to set the computer to download in the morning off of those, those free AOL CDs. So So I would set it to download in the morning, and by the time I got home, I would just have to hope that I would have the whole album and that nothing cut off or was disabled or something like that.
Yeah, man, it used to be the worst.
Yeah, and it was like, a lot of times, I would spend a lot of time trying to download these joints, and then they wouldn't come through all the way. And that would be real disappointing. And it's crazy now, like, we had, like, the one thing I appreciate about Spotify is that, all these albums that I wanted to listen to when I was younger, I never had a chance. Now I can go back to and, really see what was going on. So,
yeah.
And it's convenient, like, all of this, downloading off of Zippy Share and everything, like, that's a little time consuming sometimes, and it takes time and it takes hard drive space. So, and then, there's the whole thing of, what if your internet service provider, flags you as somebody who's downloading illegal content, and you have to deal with that, whatever repercussions come with that. So
let's not talk about that.
Okay. I mean, statistically, I don't think the chances are that great, but yeah, I feel you.
Remember the Tech Nine story I told you about.
No, tell me that again.
I was listening to the Combat Jack show, and then he was talking about his albums, and then I remember when you introduced me to Tech Nine years ago, when the Power and Numbers and Power. Which one was it called?
Absolute Power.
Yeah, Absolute Power. Yeah, I think when you got it, it was like what, 3 years old at that point, 2 years old or something like that.
I'm not sure how old it was. It might have been relatively new, but it wasn't that new.
Yeah, and I remember, like, I think it was like, you know what I'm talking about. The one where he's rapping like really, really fast, but it's like catchy at the same time. It's like number 2 or number 7 or something like that. And I just remember that song, and so I said, oh man, I get that album real quick. And so I'm trying to get it, and next thing I know, the internet just cuts off. And I'm like, oh, I said, so I go downstairs, I fix it. I'm like, all right, let me do this again. Cuts off again. Do it the third time. It cuts off again. It's just off for like 2 good hours. I couldn't do anything. And then I learned my lesson about trying to do anything with Tech Nine. And until this day, I don't mess with him or other artists that have really large followings like that.
Yeah. It's a scary thing sometimes. I've been thinking about investing in like a monthly subscription to something like Hide My Ass, or like one of the VPN servers or whatever that redirect your traffic.
Man, we need to get fucking we need to go and get some servers in Russia or some shit like that.
Yeah, man. Because shit is definitely real. But yeah, it's funny because like, speaking of Tech Nine, and like back in those days when I bought that album, it's like all you had to because this was even before I had the internet. Like, all you had to know or to, base your purchase off of was like an album cover or like special features with the CD or like a Source magazine review or like some word of mouth. So I remember when I bought that CD, it was between either Tech Nine I was going to get or I was going to get Tony Touch. And I was weighing my options. I was like, well, Tony Touch, it's like a mixtape album, so I can get all these different artists and songs. I'm not just stuck on one dude. But then with Tech Nine, my homeboy told me, like, Tech Nine is dope. You need to get this. And it had like a couple more songs, and it had a DVD with it. So I was like, this is more bang for my buck. The CD cover looks crazy, so I'm gonna just buy this. So that's how I ended up with Tech Nine. and it was Tony, and being in middle school or high school, that's a huge purchase for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that was okay. So that's absolute powers, and that was so Tony Touch was at least in his career. That was the second Peacemaker, right? Around that time.
Was it? I'm not sure because I bought the second Peacemaker. So I don't think it was that. It must have been something else. Because whatever Tony Touch album that it was I was going to get, I don't think I ever got it.
Okay.
But I did eventually end up buying a Tony Touch album.
Man, but I remember like back in the day, you did some masterful shit where you bought Supreme Clientele and Capadonna's the yin and the yang, but like within a very short span.
Oh yeah. Oh man, and that Capadonna yin and the yang, man. It's like when I bought an album back then, I had to like force myself to like that shit. Like I just had to like it because I spent my money on it. And, that Capadonna, it was like it had a couple of joints on there, but it wasn't that good. I just bought it because the cover was so dope. Like I couldn't not buy it. It was like the yin yang symbol, but instead of the circles, it had the Wu-Tang logos.
But Supermodel had its, the Supermodel was cool.
Yeah, Supermodel was cool, but then like it was like these Jermaine Dupri type of tracks. It was basically the album didn't match the cover. Like when you have a yin yang symbol with Wu-Tang symbols for the dots instead of the circles, like you're expecting like some shit like Master Killer's first album or something,
Man, that's
like some real Wu-Tang stuff.
Man, yeah, but I was thinking about like a topic maybe for later on down the line, but you kind of brought it up. I was thinking about talking about like the most random features ever in hip hop, and I think the Jermaine Dupri and Brett joint with Capadonna was like so random, especially when it's the JD beat and he goes, "It's a Wu-Tang so death thing."
Like, how did that even happen? But yeah. Capadonna just pops up in the most random places, and it's funny because sometimes like you'll run into just some random person who has like some type of connection to music, and like they'll just have some type of Capadonna story. And like only thing I can think of is when he said, when you in the garbage, check for a nigga. Like
yeah, man.
Wherever you at, just check for that nigga because he gonna be there.
Yeah, and then I was thinking about the Yellow Wolf album with the joint that had the Chat and Eminem on it.
Oh man, hell yeah, that was mad random. That was like one of the only 2 or 3 songs I liked on that album too.
Yeah, it was ill, and Eminem mentioned the Chat as if they were actually in the studio together or something like that. Well, maybe they were, but
and then, I think another random freestyle, not freestyle, but feature was when Kanye had Paul Wall on Drive Slow.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That was so big for that time.
Yeah, because Paul Wall was the shit.
Yeah, and it was like Kanye. It was like it was really a melding of the worlds, you know.
And you know, if you think about it, it was kind of like a precursor to like Graduation when he got DJ Toomp to overlook pretty much the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, now think about it, Kanye and people who are Kanye related or Kanye related songs, you know, I think one of his hallmarks in his early career was that he got these random people together because, you know, he did the Two Words joint with Mos Def and Freeway, and that was revolutionary for his time. And then, remember the Get By remix of Talib Kweli?
Yeah.
And, he had Jay-Z and Busta Rhymes on there.
Oh, that's right, he did.
And then, and Jay-Z does some random features too, like, remember the Punjabi MC joint?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because that joint was mad old. Even my girl, she was like, she heard that joint like years and years before it got big over here once Jay-Z got on it. And then I can never forget Jay-Z on that Dead Prez song.
Oh, yeah. But I remember, like, I think it was on a One-Up, or it had to be a One-Up, and they were talking about that. That was like the thing about Jay-Z is genius during that time, that he just got on anything. And how he got on the Juvenile remix, the Han joint.
Yeah.
Which I vaguely remember, actually.
Yeah, that was big.
Yeah, and what's the damn song? Oh yeah, and, you know, another random feature I've been thinking about. Although if you think about like the time of it, it really isn't that random. You can kind of get it. But the Prodigy and BG joint, the Young Black Entrepreneurs.
Oh yeah, man, that was just crazy. I was like, I bought that album and I'm like, why is BG on here? But that joint was rocking. Like, I liked that whole album, and that song, you know, that definitely stood out to me at that time.
See, now that's the thing. Like, I mean, like, Asian I think that's a classic album, and I think that, like, that song is, like, it's a pretty powerful song. Like, you know, even, like, with BG, oh, man, my Baltimore showing, I was going to say BGE. Oh, man. What BG was talking about, you know, get your first meal, and live off the interest and stuff like that.
Yeah, and, like, I remember back in those days, I had no idea what he was talking about. Yeah.
And, you know, he and Baby was in the video too, and, you know, BG was all up in it, and I think, I want to say Turk, but I don't think Turk was in the video. But, you know, but it kind of makes sense because, you know, at that time, you know, Mobb Deep was Mobb Deep, and they, you know, pretty much whenever they came out, they knew they were at least going gold for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, that H&IC, man, that was I mean, I break bread, ribs, $100 bills, chill on Bugattis, like other four wheels, like, write a book full of medicine and generate meals, tour the album, only for more set. Like, I could just go on and on. But I guess that goes like that. I think that was the song that really got Alchemist popping. What was the song called? Damn, I just spit like some of the verse. I can't remember the name of the song. Keep It Thorough.
Yeah, you know, I really don't understand how Alchemist became who he is, because it seems like he never really had that one song that made him who he was. And if you kind of think about it, because he was with Prodigy. I think on Prodigy's second time on the One Up show, and they were kind of asking him, and what he was talking about, it still didn't make sense to a certain extent, because, I mean, I guess you can say maybe the Jadakiss joint kind of gave him like maybe like a little bit of commercial appeal, but it seemed like he really didn't get like really like relevant until America's Nightmare to a certain extent.
Yeah, but he was with
Executioners,
like Soul Assassins, like back in the 90s.
Yeah, he was, and he was affiliated with Executioners, right?
I don't know if he's affiliated with them, but I know he's affiliated with Dilated Peoples, and he did that Dilated Peoples' first single, The Platform. I think he produced that.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. Dilated Peoples.
And now I just pulled up his Wikipedia. He was with a hip hop duo in 1991 called the Hooligans.
That's right, yeah, it was. Now, how old is he though? That's the thing.
According to this, he was born October 25th, 1977. So that makes him 37.
Dang, he's really that old. Huh.
Yeah, so I'm just looking through real quick. DJ Muggs. He produced 2 songs on the Murder Music album. And yeah, he's on joints with Nas, Fat Joe, Jadakiss, Ghostface Killer, Snoop Dogg. He's remixed joints for Linkin Park. Had that whole beef with Razzcast. Grand Theft Auto probably helped him out a lot.
Oh, that's right. And I know that him and Old Noah's Gang Green were commissioned to do a thing for the new Grand Theft Auto release. So I know. I mean, I'm kind of happy to see Old Noah actually, get some shine. Because, like, for so many years, he was just always seen as Madlib's brother, and sometimes he'll be, like, spotlighted, and Double XL for coming out with, like, I think, with that Dr. Ono's experiment shit that he was coming out with.
Oh, yeah.
And essentially, even though it'll be maybe, like, a 4 to 5 paragraph blurb on him, it'll pretty much just be, yes, Madlib's brother, maybe you should check it out because he's Madlib's brother, and that's about it.
Yeah, I was always just impressed by his name. Like, that's a dope-ass name. Oh, no.
Yeah, no, but it's interesting though because you can see, I guess the similarity between when it comes to him and Madlib, but he does have his own style though.
Yeah, and
at the same time.
And they don't really work together much, do they?
No, I listened to some interviews with Oh No, and actually he has a Red Bull Music Academy too. And he said something, they don't really like see each other all like that or something like that. But they're like really close.
That's interesting. I remember, it's interesting like when you see family members in music, but they kind of like doing their own thing and don't really interact. Like, makes me think of Tyler the Creator and Earl Sweatshirt. And I did see something recently about how one of them said, they're not that close. I think you were saying something about that too. How they said they're not that close. And, they both have albums that kind of just came out and neither one is on either's album. But their voices just sound so similar to me. Their rap styles are so different.
I mean, I'm thinking that they aren't close now because if you like look at like the very first Odd Future joints, and like in that one music video that came out like kind of like right before Yonkers to a certain extent, and it's like just all of them there, and it was before Earl left to go to boarding school, whatever like that, and they were all together. And then even if you listen to Earl Sweatshirt's very first album, Earl, Tyler the Creator, he makes all the beats and he's on the intro. And I think maybe, although I don't know anything about the beef or whatever's going on between them, but maybe Tyler is kind of feeling some sort of way because, if you think about it, it's Tyler and the rest of the All Future niggas that kind of kept his name alive. And they kept saying Free Earl.
And now he's
personally
doing his own thing, like separate.
Yeah, because, but if you think about it though, and I think me and you, we had a conversation like off air about it. If you think about it, they all knew that, I guess, out of all of them, Earl was like the best rapper. But if you listen to the album, it's actually one of the best albums, I guess amongst all of like the early All the Future joints that were like free. But I don't think it was enough to really, really hold and like create some type of weird legend where people would have been like waiting for Earl, even if, regardless if, Tyler and them would kept saying his name the way they were.
Yeah, I guess it was that Tony Hill type of thing.
Well, see, I think Tony Yayo was different because I think, you know, because there was already like a weird G-Unit, you know, following anyway, so people knew who he was.
That's true, yeah. I think, it's weird, because I was listening to that, an interview with Haji Beats, and he was talking about how, you know, how basically they're all older now, and like all that crazy shit that they did, you know, it was them to an extent, but it wasn't necessarily like all the way them, but it's like, oh shit, we can do this crazy shit and make money off of it, let's just keep going. And now they're kind of all older and all kind of doing their own separate things. And, you know, he might not speak to, you know, certain ones for like a lot of months to a year or so and all that type of thing. I just found that interesting. And like how, you know, now that they're older and getting more into their careers, they're kind of more focused on more serious type of music. So it made me want to listen to Haji Beats' new project more because he was always kind of like my favorite one out of all of them.
No, I really never paid attention to none of these niggas except for like Earl and Tyler the Creator.
I think Haji did say he's working on some shit with Alchemist. Like he's supposed to be doing some shit with him because like I was saying, he said that he went to Alchemist's house a couple times where Alchemist wasn't there, or like his studio, whatever, Alchemist wasn't there, and how, you know, when you're dealing with Alchemist, you don't really set up studio time. You just kind of come through and show up. Oh,
yeah. And, you know, like, you know, it's been like a trend, you know, listening to like the various podcasts with people on it, you know, and how it was one rapper who kind of said that, you know, like Alchemist's house, you know, kind of like is like the place where like all the hip hop people congregate now who are like in LA, and you know now a lot of the rappers are moving to LA now, I guess because that's the place to be, especially, you know, with this rise in West Coast music.
Yeah.
And how it's taken over. And so, you know, you have so much stuff coming out of the Alchemist studio. Between, you know, Rock Marciano, who records there, Action Bronson, Currency, who, I mean, I think you can probably argue that he was maybe like the first, I guess to a certain extent, you know, we're kind of talking about internet/blog rappers who do have these followings, but no one really knows them outside of, you know, that type of sphere. And maybe you can kind of say that Currency was kind of like the forefront, that album that kind of led to Alchemist becoming this person that everyone kind of like, you know, revolves around.
Kind of like Alchemist is kind of like, to me, what Static Selector was trying to be.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I always saw it coming. I mean, he was just always around the right people. I mean, if you're around Prodigy and Havoc. And these type of people, they gravitate toward them anyway. And he, you know, I mean, I felt as though it was bound to happen.
And his Shady Records affiliation doesn't hurt.
Oh, you see, and actually I forgot about that until he mentioned it on the One Up podcast.
Yeah.
But then I guess he still does try to, like, you know, to talk Mobb Deep, and we were supposed to see him twice, but he never showed up. That was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But you know, and you know, I would say right now, like the two top, I guess underground producers, you know, is Madlib and Alchemist, and they're both from LA.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say Madlib, but I do have a list of other people, and they are from LA, like Flying Lotus. And, you know, Thundercat, basically all them people who worked on Kendrick's album.
Well, see, I don't really count them because they aren't exactly like hip hop.
Yeah.
But like, and you know, because even thinking Madlib has taken Jay Dilla's spot, so whenever he dies, it's going to be the same thing with him too.
Yeah.
And you know that Mad villain thing, and you know the whole affiliation with MF Doom doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, and then you have the whole Quasimodo aspect.
Which brings forth a whole different type of weird ass audience, and then what he's done for Most Def, and Erykah Badu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And didn't he work with Kanye on something?
I'm not. I think he did. I'm not sure if it came out though.
Oh. Yeah.
Because did you ever read that article about the creation of the Mad Villain album on, I think it's Pitchfork, or I think it's Complex?
Nah, I didn't.
It's like this really long article about how MF even met, and what Peanut Butter was going through, and how Stone's Throw was about to close, fold and stuff like that. And then they talk about this occurrence where Kanye comes to see him. After Mad Villain comes out or whatever like that, and he's trying to get some beats from Mad Lib, and so it was some crazy shit. But then Mad Lib gave him a whole bunch of beats, and I don't think he never used.
That's crazy, but Kanye definitely keeps his ear to the underground. It seems so. He has people who does that for him now, probably.
Oh yeah, I remember when MF Doom came back out with his last album, Born Like This, and he had Ballskin, and when Kanye had his blog, he posted Ballskin on there.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that Kanye blog, man.
Yeah, that was a classic blog.
That blog is what jumped off Lil B.
Oh really?
I kind of gave him his cosign because I think Kanye posted up Wonton Soup or something like that.
Well, with that and everything about Azalea Banks. Although I think by that time the blog was done, but he just tweeted it or something like that.
Yeah. Azalea Banks.
Yeah, I have yet to listen to her album. I need to work on that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's it's just an interesting climate in music right now. I heard Kanye West's record All Day on the radio earlier. Have you heard that yet?
Actually, I did hear. I heard the live version of it when he performed it in some award show or something like that.
Oh, what'd you think of it?
I was surprised. I mean, because it features Paul McCartney, but I'm assuming that Paul McCartney did production on it.
I'm not sure because it's featuring Paul McCartney and it's featuring Alan Kingdom, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Who was some new dude who he signed, and I saw some article going into the history of Alan Kingdom that I haven't had a chance to look at yet. But somebody from Good Music said that Good Music season is approaching, so I imagine we're going to get a slew of good music related things. Maybe Sci-Hi the Prince will get his shine, but there's a leaked version of All Day with a Kendrick Lamar verse on it. That's come out, and because he's credited on the song, so people are wondering. It's like a rough version, so people are wondering if that's going to be like the remix or whatever. So I'm looking forward to that. I did hear it briefly, and I thought it was pretty cool. It wasn't like one of those knock you out your floor Kendrick performances, but it was cool and it fit the song.
Now, what you told me that certain lines Kanye uses for his beat for his verse.
That's what I read, but then when I heard it, I didn't really hear it. But I gotta listen to it again. But that whole thing just made me think. Listening to King Kunta when he's going in on ghostwriters and stuff like that, or rap with a ghostwriter. What the fuck happened? Y'all sharing bars like you got the bottom bunk in the 2-man cell, when he said that, a lot of people were saying that was a diss to Kanye some type of way. So.
Well, I mean, apparently it works for Kanye, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a weird climate in music right now.
It's a weird, and I think this is something that I think I mentioned I wanted to speak on in the previous episode about, I guess, this weird renaissance, excuse me, in hip hop music. and that's kind of like, you know, like a culmination of the solidification of blogs, since they've been around for quite a while now. And they're pretty much solidified in the culture, and now we have the emergence of the golden age of these podcasts that kind of coincide, and we get like these different perspectives from these different rappers, you know. So like right now we have like a mixture of like the history that's coming from these podcasts and different interpretations on music, while at the same time we still have the blogs that are posting up all the new music that's coming out. And like how you said earlier before we got on, we started recording about, you know, a lot of the older rappers coming out now from the 2000s or whatever, and rapping over older beats, classic beats.
Yeah, it's a weird resurgence. I'm kind of interested to see, because you know, like how there's certain blog rappers and how they, you know, rappers got started the blogs. I'm wondering if anybody's going to pop off a podcast, but I guess that's, you know, to be seen. But yeah, going back to the mixtape rappers, or rappers who were kind of popping in that mixtape era, coming back out over, you know, older beats than them, I think it's you know, it's pretty cool. Like Fabulous is really killing it right now. I think he's up to like number 7 or whatever on his freestyle series with DJ Clue. And like I was saying earlier, it just takes me back to that time when, you know, the new Clue tape would come out, and just those legendary drops that DJ Clue, Desert Storm, like, he's doing all of that. Shout out to Queens, shout out to Brooklyn, and it has the same type of delay effect on his voice. And
yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, and then like the way that Fabulous is rapping on them beats, he's rapping on beats that came out before he was out. So it's like, you know, you wouldn't necessarily even know that this is coming out in 2015. And, you know, I guess me being an old head now, you know, when I hear it, it's just like, oh, man, you know, everything is back to normal now. But, you know, I guess people are hopping on the trend because now Jadakiss dropped 2 with DJ Envy. And I guess that's in the morning because I think Fabulous, he's calling his series something like Friday Night something. So I guess DJ Envy's doing his Friday morning thing. I guess it's going to be with Jadakiss.
Okay, yeah, because Friday Night Freestyles. Yeah,
Friday Night Freestyles, yeah. So, yeah, DJ Envy, he dropped 2 Jadakiss joints Friday morning. And then Tony Yayo did a joint on an old beat. Lloyd Banks did like 2 or 3. Pat Poose did 1. And, you know, these are all these early 2000s to mid-2000s mixtape rappers who are coming out and doing this now. So it seems like the new wave, and I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, you know, like out of that whole bunch though, I mean, Jadakiss to me, he didn't really. I never really counted him as like a mixtape rapper because, I mean, in my head, if you're like a mixtape rapper, you have like a long string of mixtapes you come out with, and he really didn't have that. Like,
true.
He caught so much fire off of that Champions Here mixtape that he didn't even need to do anything else really. I think he came out like with 1 or 2 more, and then that was a wrap. And kind of like solidified himself.
Yeah, he did 3 Champions Here mixtapes, but then there were all those old D Block mixtapes. Because, you know, I mean, like, the Lox only put out 2 albums, so, you know, they pretty much thrived off of those mixtapes. And you know, Styles P kind of flooded it with a lot, but, you know, I guess just in general as the Lox, there were a lot. And then, remember back in those days, there weren't, especially like in the early days, you know, you didn't have artists doing whole mixtapes like albums, you know, so he was killing the freestyles on various other DJs' mixtapes and stuff like that. So I guess that's where, you know, a lot of people put him in a top 5 conversation. I was listening to somebody, maybe it was Grandmaster Caz or somebody talking about how Jadakiss is, like, you know, in their top 5 of MCs of all time. And
I need to go back because I never think about putting them in there.
I don't either. And even when I listen to like these new freestyles, I'm like, you know, they're good, they're cool and everything, but I think just because he said it, top 5 dead or alive, and that's just off one LP. I think he said that on the Alchemist beat, matter of fact, to bring it full circle. But I think just by him saying that and putting it out there, that brings him into the conversation. Just like when Lil Wayne said he's the best rapper alive, by him saying that, that put him into the conversation. But like, what if T.I. would have said that instead of Lil Wayne? Or like, you know, somebody else, you know, how would that have changed, you know, the course of history? Or like, what if Styles would have said it instead of Jada? Because I think Styles is a lot more consistent than Jadakiss. And,
yeah.
You know, no, not Jadakiss, but, you know, Styles, you know, I think he's improved over the years a lot, too, because I didn't used to like Styles for real. I thought he was, like, definitely a weak link, but, you know, going back and listening, he's, like, my favorite one. And I had him as my 6th man in my top 5 at one point in my life.
I mean, if I had to say, I think Styles is the ultimate mixtape rapper, and no one can ever take his crown. And I say that. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, maybe it's between Styles and 50 because, as we know, pretty much every mixtape that 50 has pretty much come out with after, you know, his big success and his, you know, of course, his commercial downfall that happens with every big rapper. His mixtapes were still good, but I don't know, it doesn't have like the certain, that rawness that, you know, that we're used to hearing, you know, from, you know, G-Unit, 50 Cent's The Future and stuff like that.
I mean, even his mixtapes, like he did that Big 10 mixtape, I thought that shit was dope. And then he did he do a Gangsta Girls? He did like a Big 10 mixtape that was like the 10th anniversary of 50 Cent is The Future. And then he did like another mixtape around that time, and then he just was dropping all these other songs for a mixtape that was supposed to come out that never did. I think it was like a SMS audio mixtape he was going to do. And he's very consistent when it comes to non-commercially released records. I just think that people aren't necessarily checking for that from him. Well, they weren't until he got back with G-Unit.
Oh yeah, I think about if the Big 10 was the Michael Jackson joint, right?
You talking about the one where he said the joint about, you know, God Allah?
Crack on the street. Yeah.
No, that was way before. That was Sincerely Southside. That was around the time of the second G-Unit album, I think, because they did This Is 50 Volume 1 and 2. And then This Is 50 Volume 3, I think, was that one, Sincerely Southside, when he rapped on all the old soul joints.
Okay. And, you know, I mean, the second G-Unit album is slept on, for real. Yeah.
I mean, I think the first one is slept on.
Yeah, but, you know, it's weird because I think it sold over 3 million copies.
Yeah. But like,
no one ever talks about it.
Yeah, no one ever talks about it. But that joint definitely has some hard ass records on there. I mean,
especially the intros, it was hard too.
I didn't like the intro. I just don't understand the beat. Maybe I gotta listen to it again. But that's like one of the only songs I didn't like on there. But just everything else, man. Like, what was that joint? I mean, he had Poppin' Them Things on there. Of course, they had the Stunt 101. Those were like the 2 big singles. Had that I'm So Hood, I Can't Help It. But yeah, and, you know, Dr. Dre, you could tell his influence was still there. So.
Yeah. But then I think it's that Michael Jackson mixtape thing, whatever it's called, and then War Angel. So I think out of his post commercial, I guess, mixtape releases, I would say War Angel and the Michael Jackson thing.
Yeah,
probably my favorite one.
Yeah, that War Angel, that was serious.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have been an album, and I think maybe it was supposed to be an album, but he just dropped it as a mixtape. That came out before, that came out before his fourth album, I think, the one where he, had that Crime Wave joint.
Yeah, like what?
The remix.
Yeah, Crime Wave.
Yeah. What was that album called? Before I Self-Destruct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, like another album, and you can tell like War Angel was supposed to be an album. I went back and listened to Rob Marciano. I've been listening to it. The Empire Strikes Back.
Mhm.
And you know that was a mixtape. You know, that came out before his Marcy Beaucoup album, or however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
And I think it should be the other way around. I think the Marcy Beaucoup should have been a mixtape, and the Empire Strikes Back should have been his album, because it's pretty much a cohesive project for the most part. Of course, he's playing a pimp as usual, and he just has like these different actors on it, but it kind of just all fits. So, like the things that it's kind of like a regular like day in the life of him being a pimp or something like that. And like I think lyrically, I think like he had like he like his best lyrically on that mixtape. Actually, and because you can tell that he went into it kind of like, you know, thinking of making like a concept out of it, obviously. But for some reason, I guess he never thought about putting it out as an album, because, you know, it's not as if he's using like other people's beats. He's using like, you know, beats from all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know, like, I just remember listening to it, and something about it just turned me off. I guess because he was talking about all that pimp stuff, and it just like, you know, coming off his first two albums, or, you know, the first two that we gravitated towards, it was just like, yo, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, see, man, that's always at first, and then I said, man, let me go back and listen to this, because, you know, I will always like revisit it for that Sincerely Antique joint.
Mm-hmm.
With Willie the Kid and Action Bronson, because like that Alchemist beat is just like lovely.
Yeah.
And I started listening to it, and he's saying like some shit on that. He's like, he says I make the snub nose turn Rudolph. Like certain like slick shit he says, and like the beats, and like how like his flow on certain beats, like it's pretty ill.
I'm gonna go back and check that out. I actually was skimming through Marcy Beaucoup the other day, because Spotify keeps suggesting it to me, saying I might like it.
Of course. But
the thing that turned me off about that, which I guess was the whole point of it, was that it had a whole lot of features on it. And, you know, I think Rock Marciano has cultivated a certain sound, and when you add people to it, it gets diluted. But, you know, I'm going to go back and give it a chance, because one album that I kind of hated on at first, but went back and gave it a chance, and actually, you know, gave it quite a few spins, was that last Sean Price album. And, you know, they're kind of similar type of rappers to me.
Yeah, man, I can see that.
Like, in terms of, like, beat selection, and sometimes just rapping with no hook, and just saying, like, little funny one-liner, non-sequitur type joints.
Yeah. You know what's funny, like, I was thinking about, like, you know, Duck Down and everything like that, and, I remember, like, the Combat Jack episode that had, I think, Drew High and Buckshot on it.
Yeah.
And how they're pretty much, like, talking about how, like, pretty much, like, Sean Price is pretty much the main reason why, like, you know, Duck Down's the way it is today. With, because of Monkey Bars.
Yeah, man, that album, man, that was a great album.
But see, but I never like noticed that, like, they had like the triple threat with Monkey Bars, the Buckshot Night, the first Chemistry joint.
Yeah.
And what was the third one? Was it like not Bootcamp? Yeah, when they came back out.
Yeah, and like the covers were all like comic book, and they all kind of fit together in a certain type of way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that Sean Price really stuck out. I mean, you know, I did like the Smith and Wesson album, and I did like the Ninth Wonder and Buckshot album. At the time, I think I said it was a classic. I don't remember ever saying that, but
Yeah, man, you said that in Ocean City.
I don't know. I must have been feeling a certain type of way at that moment, but it did have some joints on there like that. I remember that one Underground joint. I think you like that song.
Yeah, whenever I sometimes go to YouTube and listen to it, unfortunately. That's all the shit we talk about.
I know, right? But that was a genius marketing scheme that really brought them back, because, you know, nobody was checking for Duck Down before them.
Yeah.
I became a Duck Down fan, like.
Yeah, I
dropped that Boot Camp Click album shortly after that.
Yeah, I remember, and I was never too pressed by it, but I remember around the same time it came out, they did like a promotional tour and they came to the Sonar. Like I think maybe like a month after its release. But yeah, I remember like we went to Ocean City and we had our LCDs. You could just kind of tell like where we were like with our music, and that's when I was like on like my really hard Busy Bone kick at that time.
Yeah.
And I got the Alpha and Omega, and it came with the DVD and shit like that. And then you had I think you had the Listening, the Big Brother joint. You had Ninth Wonder and the Buckshot.
Little Brother.
Yeah, Little Brother, and then you had the Buckshot and the Ninth Wonder. And then I remember because of the Underground joint, I went to Best Buy across from security, and I went to buy that the Ninth Wonder and the Buckshot. But then eventually, I traded with Preston to get the Busy Bone Heaven's movie. Because I didn't want the Buckshot anymore.
Yeah, I remember getting real heavy into that Ninth Wonder sound. The first Little Brother song I heard, it was a joint called Airplanes, and it wasn't on the album. I think they might have eventually put it on the Chitlin circuit, the first one, not the 1.5 that came out, which I did buy that. I might have had that too out in Ocean City. But that first Chitlin circuit joint, and it was just like this whole concept of being on the airplane, all this type of stuff, and I was like, man, this is dope. I gotta listen to more of this. And I bought the Listening, I bought that Chitlin circuit 1.5, and then whatever I could else, download from them. I was on it.
I'm trying to think what else I had on that Ocean City trip, because that was the second Ocean City trip, right? Or was that the very first one?
It's probably the second one.
I think it had to be the second one, because I just recall like us, because we knew our way around at that time, and we always go to the Quiznos after we would like play mini golf and shit.
Yeah.
I always that was around the same time that Bizarre came out with Handicap Circus.
Oh man.
Yeah. I love that album.
Speaking of that, I meant to bring this up to you as a topic, but that just makes me think of I was perusing the internet and I came across I think it was a post on The Source, and they were talking about Split Star's label came out with a video. And I was like, oh, and they were saying like, happy birthday Split Star or something like that. And I'm like, hold on, what? Split Star has a label. So I just watched the video, and it's just like a regular song by some dudes, just real regular, nothing really special to it. And it made me think, like, about just the whole career and legacy of Split Star. Like, he might be the greatest hype man ever, because, he could actually rap. And he's been Busta Rhymes' hype man for so many years, and it just made me think about, like, who are the greatest hype men in hip-hop, or, you know, the best, I guess, B rappers to the A rapper. So I was thinking about, like, Spliff Star and Memphis Bleak. You got Tony Yayo, and I guess, you know, with Eminem, you got different ones. You have Proof, you have Mr. Porter, you have Royce 5'9", and then, you know, you have Bizarre to some extent. And, you know, even with Public Enemy, you know, you got your Flavor Flavs to Chuck D, and it's just like, man, like, you know, it made me think, like, damn, y'all need to do like a documentary or something on just the hype man. You know, Spliff Star, he's been holding it down for a long time. And he has his own bum-ass label. No offense.
Yeah, man. I realize it seems like it's like kind of like a semi-trend where you have the hype men who open up someone's album and they just kill it. And you just remember them for like opening up someone's album. And like how like Spliff Star killed Rod Digger's first album. The fucking intro is crazy.
Yeah.
On Dirty Harriet. And then you know, with Memphis Bleak and how he opened up one of those In My Lifetime albums.
Yeah. On the premiere beat.
Yeah, on the premiere beat of all things. So yeah.
And how, like, you know, a lot of talent, I think, gets swallowed up because a lot of talent ends up being a hype man, where they could have been a star if they were able to, you know, branch out and stand on their own too.
Yeah.
Like, I think about, like, Beanie Siegel, and he kind of played the hype man role to Jay-Z at one point. And it's like, what if he never signed to Rockefeller, but kept, like, working with the Roots and stuff like that? Because he was on that Roots album before he got with Rockefeller, I think. It's like, you know, where would he have been, you know, had it not been for all that? Would he have disappeared somewhere, or would he be even bigger? Because, you know, Eve was on that song, too.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Beanie had his, I mean, he had his chance. I mean, he had the State Property movies coming out. He had the State Property clothing line. He had albums that were going gold. And I believe he didn't he make it to the Source Power 30 at one point because like State Property made like $20 million one year.
Man, damn,
it was something like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like he made like a lot of money, you know, because you know the State Property they had like the special pockets where niggas could hide shit from cops.
Yeah. I remember that being a big controversy because they had the weed pocket and it was located in different places on different jeans.
Yeah, so I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of State Property, you know they're coming out with State Property 3.
You know, I think you told me about that actually.
Yeah, Dame Dash, he said, you know, he just got off the phone with Beanie Siegel and Nori, and, you know, everybody's back together and down with it, so.
Nori was in the second one, right? Because he damn sure wasn't in the first one.
Yeah, I think he was in the second one, because remember, Nori was Rock La Familia.
Oh, that's right, yeah, he was the president, and that all fell through.
Yeah, but, I mean, he brought reggaeton to the United States, so.
Yeah, for like, what, 2 years?
Man, reggaeton is huge, man.
What to this day still?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge in, you know, the Hispanic community, but, you know, there's elements of it I think that, you know, branch out into pop music. But I was somewhere, where was I? I was somewhere today, and I heard, some type of reggaeton song that had Sean Paul on it, and they were playing it in the, matter of fact, they're playing it in the subway. Yeah, that's right, we went to Subway after we left the museum, and they were playing some type of reggaeton song with Sean Paul on it, and the guy who was making my sandwich, I'm not sure what ethnicity he was. I thought maybe he was Arabic, but maybe he was Hispanic, but that song came on, he just kind of started nodding his head, and he just zoned out for a while. And he didn't hear what I asked him to do.
Oh, of course.
But, yeah, man, that reggaeton. And then, you know, when I was living in D.C., I guess, you know, I was living in a pretty heavily Hispanic populated area and in Silver Spring, and that's all you hear in cars driving by.
Well, speaking of Subway, on a side note, are you still getting those veggie patties?
No, I'm not getting. I started getting those a long time ago because I found out they weren't vegan.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm thinking, I'm still on my this carton of soy milk that I have, and I think after this I'm going to wean myself up with soy milk in my house at least. But when I go to Starbucks, I'll probably still get like, you know, soy milk in my coffee. But I think I'll try to see if the coconut milk, if it fits properly. Because I go there so much, they keep asking me about it, and so maybe if I just ask if like the right person, they can just give me like a sample of the coconut milk. Maybe I'll try it out.
Do they have almond milk at Starbucks too?
Nah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm sure they're working on that though. Who knows? But I'm thinking like, you know, because you know I use soy milk to cook with too, so I wouldn't see if I could get some unsweetened almond milk. Well, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that soy, it either decreases your testosterone or increases your estrogen or both, but, you know, it'll turn you to a woman.
And see, that's the thing, man. You know, I already have this long hair, and now it's starting to get to the point that, you know, starting to, my twist outs starting like to droop down, so my hair doesn't really stick up anymore.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what to do with that. And the only thing I can think of is like, you know, just kind of like tying my hair back.
Why don't you just naughty dread it up?
Well, I've heard that if you like dredge it, like if you want to like to get like really good solid dread, you gotta like start when you start growing your hair out. Other than that, it's not gonna really work. And I don't know. I gotta find different ways to do my hair, or maybe just walk around looking like Absol. Because I don't have any intentions on cutting my hair anytime soon. So
yeah.
So I think I'm gonna try to get this soy out my diet. But then even if you like, you know, I bought like these granola bars, and they had, you know, that soy lecithin and shit in it, and you know you just can't win. Like I think soy is now the new high fructose corn syrup, because now you don't see as much high fructose corn syrup in like a whole bunch of other products, and now they start to cut that shit out. But now it's soya and everything.
Yeah, I mean that's why you gotta stay away from processed food. Like, I think the only time I really eat soy is like when I'm going out, or like, you know, I try not to have it in the house, but you know, if I'm ordering some Chinese food, I get the bean curd, which is basically like tofu or whatever. Or like if I'm going to Chipotle, you know, I get the sofritas, which is basically like this seasoned tofu type stuff. But I mean, you know, the actual soy is you know, the soybean or whatever is poisonous to you, and then they do whatever they do to it to make it not poisonous. But you know, I try to keep it on delicacy mode and not, you know, straight diet mode.
Yeah. I'm like right now I'm just like trying to go through like the Rolodex of like the shit I eat, because I mean technically I don't really eat any type of processed food. Everything I make is like from scratch at this point. And but you know, like I get like the granola bars because I you know, when I'm out like studying, so I don't like spend money on shit. I just eat those, and you know, they last me for like a good minute. So, but now I'm thinking I could just make my own granola bars, but granola is fucking expensive, so I don't know. Not entirely sure if I'll be really like, you know, really be, you know, losing out on money or what if I start making my own granola bars. Because, you know, you get like a bag of granola like $7, $8. It doesn't seem like you're getting much.
Yeah, I guess you would have to incorporate other things. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you have to incorporate other things into your granola bars, but that's increasing the price more. So, I don't know. It's an interesting trade-off. It makes you wonder why granola is so expensive, but granola bars are so cheap.
Yeah, probably fucking maybe the soy thickens it or like thins it out or something that, you know, gives it like a higher volume or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know. I gotta figure that out, because I think if I but I don't even get those like all like that. It's like mainly with me is really just like the soy milk, because I told you about the whole thing. If I do make coffee here, you know, I use the soy milk because for me personally, it just mixes best with the coffee.
Yeah.
And in my experience, almond milk doesn't really do it that well.
I mean, I've had a good experience with the Silk, unsweetened almond milk, but, you know, before that, and, you know, right now I'm out of almond milk. I didn't feel like getting any more. I just drink my coffee black with a little bit of agave nectar.
And that's the thing, like, yeah, I drink, you know, when I drink coffee when I'm studying, you know, out, and it's, you know, and that's quite frequently. And so sometimes it gets boring just drinking coffee just black. So I like to switch it up every now and again.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reintroduced to the joys of certain flavors when I went to Dunkin' Donuts and found they had almond milk. So I had that almond milk latte or iced latte, because, you know, it's kind of hot. It was like 80-something degrees, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to get this. So I was like, oh, man, I haven't had this in like 2 years. Made me wonder, did they actually put almond milk in it?
Oh, yeah. I had I'm like a Starbucks Gold member, so I had a free drink that I was able to redeem, so I did that today. And I got a triple venti vanilla soy latte.
That was one of the most bougiest sentences I've ever heard in my life.
well, being a previous Starbucks employee, that's how you probably said triple venti soy vanilla latte.
But then before that, you prefaced it with, I'm a Starbucks Gold member.
Well, just
like to somebody who didn't know about, you know, your history in the trenches with Starbucks.
Well, just for the imaginary listener, you know, just in case they're trying to figure out like how this nigga get like a free Starbucks drink. You know, because the thing is, like, a lot of people they go to Starbucks and they don't know about the awards thing. And you save money that way. So I'm trying to help the listener, the imaginary listener out at this point.
Yeah. Oh man. It's like you got this pro black type of person. Yes, when I go to Starbucks, I'm a gold member and I get the triple soy venti vanilla latte.
Yeah, I know, but you know, I think it was a French philosopher. I think it was Montesquieu. He said, you know, the longer you're in society, the more you adapt to it. So that's what's happening at this point. It's funny, like you know, talking to like certain close colleagues of mine, we realize that we sit around, we talk about different like travel mugs and shit like that, and like travel coffee things and you know, different pens and shit like that to work with. And these are very important things in our lives. Like because I was kind of jealous because like one of my colleagues, he had you know, like those have you like seen like the portable like Starbucks cups they have now? It's pretty much modeled after like the classic Starbucks cup, but it's made of like plastic.
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Okay, well yeah, so you can buy one for $1. And you know, and that's what I use. But around the holidays, they had like and see, this is how advertising just fucks you up. They had the special Christmas ones, and they had like different colors, different flavors, whatever, like that. And every time I was going in there, I'm like, damn, I should probably get one of those, but there's no point because I already had one. And so now, since the holidays are long gone, by the time my colleague he got into like getting one, he got the holiday one. And so he used the holiday one. I'm like, damn, man, I wish I got the holiday one when I was able to, because I could just switch it up. And now I can't.
Maybe they have it on eBay, or maybe there's a Starbucks online shop where you can order one or something.
Maybe, but then probably like $5. So I just gotta be patient and wait around for the holidays again.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Or Saturnalia, or whichever one the listeners follow.
Oh man, that's a whole nother conversation right there.
Yeah, on some nature of the threat type shit.
Yeah. Speaking of nature of the threat, man, cannabis is back.
Yeah.
I sent you the record that he did with Bronze Nazareth. I thought that joint was dope. I mean, maybe I just like the beat, but I sent it to my girl and she was like, I have no idea what he's talking about. And so I was like, yeah, I feel you. I just sent it to you because he mentioned Alex Jones and Prison Planet. And, she looks at that on YouTube sometimes. And she was like, he's just throwing a whole bunch of stuff together trying to sound smart, but at the end of the day, he makes all black people look stupid. I was like, damn. I mean, I tried to defend him, but, that's kind of what it was.
I mean, well, kinda, but I mean, I think I told you, like, I was like on the hunt for like a collection of his freestyles. Mm-hmm. And I finally found them. I found two different collections. Like one was on Dat Piff, and this other one, I think it was on the Kevin Nottingham blog.
Oh yeah.
And I see what she like the point she's making. But if you listen to those freestyles, they make sense. He just happens to be throwing some scientific shit into it.
Well, I mean, the thing that I was telling her is that when you go back, like his old freestyles, it was more coherent and made a lot more sense. But it seems like now he's just kind of just jumbling things up together. Because like I was explaining to her, like, back in the day how Cannabis was like the man on the mixtapes, and he was supposed to be that one who was going to do it. And, people used to just, like, how, I used to put his verses up on my wall and stuff like that. And, Cannabis was just like that dude. And his stuff made sense to, like, your average listener. Because, now, I guess when people look at the type of hip-hop we listen to, they have a certain connotation or whatever. But it's like, when we were in middle school, that's what was popping. It was lyrics. And so Cannabis shit made sense. Like, I splattered the brain matter of my enemies in the same, I splattered the brain matter of my enemies with the same bullet trajectory that murdered John Kennedy in the back of his cranial cavity, which is actually what happens to any motherfucker who won't battle me. Like, that type of shit makes sense. Like, he might be throwing some extra, quote unquote big words or scientific terms in it, but, he was telling stories and stuff with it. But now, I see her point about it being like just a jumbled mess of just random terms and various conspiracy theories. But I don't know. Everything doesn't have to make sense to me all the time. And, it gives you something to Google and look up and, see what he's talking about. And it's something different than, Young Thug or Young Dolph.
I mean, yeah, and and I think we've had conversations on and off about this, periodically throughout the years, and me personally, I don't exactly want a song all the time that that tells me everything like straightforward. I want to be able to to go and research something and learn something new.
Yeah, and like you know, I was telling her, like, you know, before the internet, like, the way we kind of learned about shit, at least me, was through rap music, you know? And, like, researching various things and all of that. Like, even you take a song like Nature of the Threat, like, that does a lot to somebody who doesn't really have very many resources into, you know, learning about, I guess, revisionist history and, you know, about the role of Africa and Africans in history and stuff like that. Or, like, just random things like, you know, you could take a Nas record, like, you know, I Know I Can or something like that. Or like, you know, you had a lot of songs that, you know, let you know something. Then I started researching KRS-One and he was the teacher.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I think it, you know, you need stuff like that sometimes to kind of balance it out, because I don't know if you heard this Young Thug album, but it's not much content to it. It's like, it makes me wonder sometimes, you know, when people listen to hip hop, it's like, what are you listening for? Or like, you know, sometimes people be talking about like a certain mixtape or something, and they say, you know, such and such rapper was killing it, and it's like, you know, what does that mean now? Because, you know, killing it used to mean, like, you were really killing it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe between you and, maybe my brother, that I'm actually a bigger, I guess, fan of Young Thug.
Even more so than your brother?
I mean, maybe. I'm not entirely sure yet. But like, even like the line you told me that came from the album, I kind of like it.
I mean, it was just different. Like, I mean, this dude said, when the police come, I put the crack in my crack. And, you know, he said it in his Young Thug type of way. And then, you know, with his already, you know, interesting persona when it comes to sexual ambiguity, it was just an interesting line, because I've never heard anybody just brag about that on a record before. I think the most I've heard a rapper talk about it was Mano, when he was talking about jail, and that was in interviews, and he was very serious about it. Like,
yeah.
And, you know, he was kind of like, he was almost like a scared straight kind of dude. Like, you know, you don't want to go to jail because this is what can happen. This is what you might have to do. When Young Thug is just like, just bragging about that shit, like, that's everyday life.
Well, see, I think, like, at least for me, I mean, and, you know, I am certainly not, I have not thoroughly listened to Young Thug, but, like, the songs I've listened to, he just has, like, a certain, like, aura and thing about him. And, you know, I had a conversation with my brother a while ago. You know, he's been going on his rants every now and again about skirts and hip hop and shit. And, you know, I said, well, you know, A$AP Rocky, he pretty much wore like a skirt too, and he wasn't too fond of me saying that. But, you know, I think, did we go into like the whole thing about like genres? Yeah, we did about Teddy Boys. I think that was the previous one, right?
That was episode 3. Yep.
Yeah, about Teddy Boys, and you know how genre, you know, when a genre comes out, it's rebellious, and then after a while, it just goes into the fabric of society. And you know, a lot of times, my brother, he says like hip hop was a rebellious culture. So was rock and roll. So was jazz to a certain extent. So was blues. So I mean, every genre has had some type of rebellious quality to it. And hip hop at this point is not that anymore. And so this is how you had like it's in pop or rock and roll, whatever you want to call Prince. You had sexually ambiguous people like Michael Jackson and Prince come out of nowhere, and no people question them, but then after a while they just don't. I'm not saying that I exactly, condone what's going on in hip hop right now, but I do think Young Thug is a very interesting character, and he can actually rap compared to a Young Dolph or some of these random niggas will come out on 90Q who had one song and then they just die and do something else. Like the guy with the ice cream paint job. What's his name?
What's his name? I think that's a bad example. I feel just Duro, yeah. I think that's a bad example because he's had a lot more songs than that, and I think he's popping in his region. Like, he's not one of these dudes who just completely disappears off the face of the map. I just happened to see some shit with him and Juvenile recently.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think whatever he's doing, maybe he's like the Red Cafe of his city or something like that.
Okay.
Like, you see certain people who just kind of, I think a good example of what you're trying to say would be somebody like Q.
Who's that?
The dude who did Bobby Johnson.
Oh, okay.
And, I see him all the time, like, putting out these mixtapes and stuff, but it's like he's struggling to hold on. I think it's because, he kind of came out kind of fucked up. Like, because, people think his name is Bobby Johnson, but the guy who made the beats name is actually Bobby Johnson. But, yeah, Young Thug, he definitely has, definitely unique style and presence, and he fits on the beat really well. And, sometimes when you can understand what he's saying, sometimes it is interesting and clever and stuff like that. But sometimes he just gets into the trap of rapping over the same beat over and over again, like the same shit, and then rapping about the same shit, and you don't get any insight into him, where he comes from, and I think a lot of that thing that makes people gravitate towards him is his Lil Wayne-ness. Like, he basically took the things from Lil Wayne and made people gravitate towards Lil Wayne and used it for himself.
Yeah, I can see that, but I would never say he's fully developed yet, but I think he's at the same stage that Wayne was when he came out with those terrible, horrible drought mixtapes. They were horrible. All
Drought 3?
All those damn droughts they were terrible.
Oh man.
He got better around the dedication. Even when the Carters came out, they were kind of.
I think the droughts were in between. What the droughts in between, like the dedications and the Carters? Because I think the Drought 3 came out before the Carter 3, didn't it?
I was always under the impression that the drought mixtapes were like before the dedications.
No, I don't think so. Because I remember the first dedication must have come out when I was in high school.
But that was around the same time with the first Carter, though, right?
Yeah, maybe even before that. Yeah, I think that the first dedication might have been promo for the first Carter. And I remember the Drought 3 came out, because I remember he was rapping over this Beyonce beat, and then he was rapping over the Jay-Z, Show Me What You Got, with the That Was What I Got.
Yeah.
So, maybe you're thinking about, are you thinking about them Squad Up mixtapes?
I'm thinking about, I really think like the Squad Ups and the Droughts, they all kind of mixed together with me because he sounded the same, like he was still trying to find himself, and he was just like rapping over any beat he could like kind of find as hard as he could.
I mean, it's funny because I went back and listened to some of the Squad mixtapes, and I actually have a new appreciation for them because they're like real mixtapes. It's like scratching on them and stuff to like bring in new tracks, and he's just rapping like straight through. But
you know, I realized that it seems like a lot of times when it comes to like us talking between like you, me, and my brother, and I guess other people, hip hop people, we always end up kind of saying that like the southern people are in so many ways keeping like certain things of hip hop alive, and this kind of reminds me of like when Gucci Mane was kind of like on like that, like those random freestyle rants that he was doing, and you can actually tell that he was really freestyling.
Oh yeah.
The classic YouTube joint. I was up in the atrium like the gymnasium. That one, and then of course the classic Shook Ones joint that he did. And it wasn't really good, but you can only respect it because he was on point flow wise, and it was actual freestyle.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, you know, those freestyles, they gave me like some of the biggest laughs of my life. But I guess watching them with someone from their era and generation, you know, one of my younger friends, and, you know, one of my younger friends who has like, you know, deep street involvement, and he was like kind of explaining it, and, you know, like, you know, why he likes it and stuff like that. And then, you know, he was kind of saying what you were saying, like, and, you know, he's really freestyling, you know, kind of bringing it back to the hip-hop aspect of it. And I was like, yeah, you know, I can't really hate on this too much. So, you know, it kind of gave me a different appreciation for, you know, what Gucci Mane was doing. But then at the same time, you see what Charles Hamilton is doing out here freestyle-wise, and it's just like, you know, I think there's a party aspect of freestyling to where, you know, sometimes sometimes you might be at like a college party or something, and people just start freestyling, and they're not rappers, they don't claim to be rappers, they're just, I guess, civilians, but, you know, you rap because it's something that's fun to do, that you're not taking it seriously, and that's kind of what a Gucci Mane freestyle was like to me.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, 'cause, you know, like my, you know, one of the people that, you know, I lived with, you know, for a certain amount of years when I was an undergrad, you know, him and his boys, they would get together, they would like get like some instrumentals off of YouTube, and they'd just be drinking beers, just like just going back and forth freestyling for like hours. I would just hear them for hours just freestyling, just laughing, having a good old time. And it always kind of like related back to like what you said, like, you know, thinking about that. And we mentioned it, I think on a previous one, about, you know, the recording of the folk culture all throughout, the United States, throughout the South and stuff like that, and the Georgia Sea Islands in the 30s with, Alan Lomax.
Yeah.
And what he was doing, and you know how he got the especially like the Georgia Sea Islands people and the prison ones, and you know the prison songs.
Yeah.
And how these really aren't any professional people. They're just doing it because they ain't supposed to do for the most part.
Hold on. I think everything that you just said broke up. You were saying the prison songs and the Georgia Sea Islands.
Yeah. So the prison songs in the Georgia Sea Islands that Alan Lomax recorded in the 30s through like the Library of Congress. If you think about it in the same context of like Gucci Mane and you know other like people just freestyle just for the sake of it being fun. You know, it's a part of a heritage, you know, like with these prison songs and like with the people and with the Gullah culture that people just do it just for the fun of it, and they don't really take it seriously.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And like now we have, you know, so many different ways of capturing it. You know, it's really part of culture, because I don't know, it's like you think about how many people you rap with and freestyle with coming up, and you know, a lot of them maybe had an inkling or an intention of doing something with it, but, you know, a lot of them didn't. And even the ones who did, you know, it just fades after a while.
Yeah. And like thinking about that, and like thinking about you know, like toasting, and then you know like you know oral histories.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, and I think this is why, like, this is like I guess bringing everything full circle when it comes to, like, you know, me, like, thinking about, like, what's going on right now is like a hip-hop renaissance, is because of the fact that we are getting these oral histories recorded through these podcasts. Especially, right. I think the most important one, I think, sooner or later, I think one of the blogs will probably put this as like a pivotal moment in, like, podcast history, at least hip-hop-wise, is when Combat Jack got that really in-depth interview with Grandmaster, Kool Herc.
Theodore?
No, Kool Herc.
Oh, Kool Herc, yeah.
Damn. But actually, even the one with the Grand Wizard Theodore that Juan Epstein did.
Yeah. Those were two of the ones that really take you back there to, like, the basic beginning of, like, everything and how everything worked out.
Yeah, and you know, like, in thinking about where hip hop is, like, right now, like how we have people like the Young Thugs and how they're kind of, you know, becoming, I guess a lot of the newer artists are becoming a bit more sexually ambiguous, like how, like, a lot of rock and roll people have been by the time that these things started happening to a certain extent, it was when rock and roll was really fully within the fabric of American culture. And you're seeing that now with hip hop, and now, but at the same time, we're still able to have the people who started hip hop. You know, what the Grand Wizard Theodore, who invented scratching, and Kool Herc, who invented hip hop, and Marley Marl, who invented sampling. They're still around. They can tell the stories, which I think even makes hip hop even more interesting right now, because we still have the people around to tell the stories.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. One thing that I've taken away from a lot of what you said is that basically Young Thug is modern day Prince.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, and it kind of goes into, like, when I mentioned, like, maybe we should talk about Grab, because I look at him. I remember you showed me that you sent me that video with him and some other guy dancing, and with some type of, like, crazy, like, winding dance that was kind of like Jamaican.
Yeah.
And you know, all this shit. I mean, I would never do it. I would probably never be in. I probably wouldn't want to be in a party where they're doing it. But he just has a certain thing about him that for some reason to me, he's just, you know. He does what he wants to do to a certain extent. I just can't explain him. I mean, I'm not really mad at Young Thug because he kind of perpetuates the shit that we kind of complain about right now. But I think eventually he'll probably go into his own. He'll grow into himself eventually. I think the same way Wayne did.
Yeah, if as long as he stays away from Holly Grove and he's in control.
Yeah.
So this beef and stuff that's going on. But let's take a break right here and come back. This is the first segment, episode 5, Channel 10 Podcast. Check out channel10podcast.com and all that, and we'll be right back at you in a few. Bow.
Feeling this here. Yeah, son, you feel it, man. What up, son? You gotta just do it, yo.